Let me check. Okay, now check, Uma, is it audible? So students, those who joined the session, please mark your presence. Let me see. Are you able to watch me? I mean, see me, listen to me. Am I audible? Am I visible to you? Okay. So yesterday we started the more efficient memory, that is a cache memory. Today we will continue the same with gate questions also. Okay. Before that, if any 2020 aspirants are there, for them a sincere request is, as we are doing the analysis of 2020 gate question paper on the same day, please join us, help us for the questions, because gate the IIT Delhi will release the question paper officially almost after a week or 10 days. So if to do the analysis more effectively on the same day, we want the questions with more accuracy. That can be done only when students, you guys join us. So if any 2020 aspirants are there who are watching this session, please help us in doing the analysis more effectively. For that, what you can do is you can just get in touch with our GradeUp app. I mean, in the GradeUp app you can post that I am interested to share my questions, so that they will give you one link. There you can just post the questions. Okay. So guys, please help us to get the questions and do the analysis more effectively. Right. Now yesterday we have concluded the session with this. What is hit? What is miss? What is hit ratio? Right. So what is hit? If the cache can supply the data to a processor, right? If cache succeed, if cache could supply the content to the processor, that is what we call as cache hit. Otherwise we call that as cache miss. And what is the hit ratio? I am just revising yesterday's last point. What is hit ratio? Number of hits divided by total number of requests, isn't it? Now let's say the total number of requests is equal to 10 and the number of hits are 7. That means when the CPU requested 7 data items, the cache memory succeeded in supplying only, CPU requested 10 data items, cache succeeded in supplying only 7. Then the hit ratio is 7 divided by 10, that is 0.7, right? So when the hit ratio is 0.7, tell me what would be the miss ratio? Obviously, miss ratio means number of miss divided by total number of requests. So can I say the miss ratio is 1 minus hit ratio? Yes or no? Because 7 are hits means 3 are miss, that is understood. So miss ratio becomes 3 divided by 10, 0.3. Is it satisfying 1 minus hit ratio condition? 1 minus 0.7, which is 0.3, not 3. Now the question is, when cache miss occur, what does that mean? When the cache cannot supply the CPU requested content, then who will supply? Cache failed in supplying, then who will supply? This is the question, right? So let's see. I have already given the memory hierarchy. So in which we have a cache memory, we have main memory, let's say there is only one level of cache memory. Now processor is here. CPU is requesting, Abhinav, I will answer your query after a moment. Abhinav, please hold. CPU is requesting some content. How it is requesting means it's a common request for both cache memory as well as main memory. That means cache memory and main memory can directly communicate with processor. They can directly read, they can directly write. Okay? Now, let's say CPU is requesting 10 data items or 10 requests in which 7 hits with cache. It is able to supply only 7. Then whatever misses for the cache, who will supply? Obviously, who will supply? Answer the students. Students, please answer this. Cache failed in supplying, then who will supply? Pooja, very good evening. Priya, good evening. Sri Chandana, good evening. Yeah, definitely main memory should supply, isn't it? And you may have this doubt, sir, what if main memory also fail? For main memory, there is no option. For main memory, there is no option to say miss, because when it is not available in main memory also, understand, try to listen carefully and try to understand. When main memory also do not have that data, it is its responsibility to take a copy from secondary and supply to processor. So who should supply to processor? Main memory only. Secondary memory will not, because of its speed. So main memory do not have option. Understand this. So when cache failed in supplying, definitely how many it failed? 3. So they becomes hits for main memory, isn't it? So cache hits, when they are 7, main memory hits becomes 3. So when the hit ratio of cache, let it be H. What is the hit ratio of cache? 0.7 for these parameters. Then what is the hit ratio of main memory? 1 minus H, isn't it? If the hit ratio of cache is H, then what is the hit ratio of main memory? 1 minus H, that is 3 divided by 10, right? So, can I call the cache memory access time, let it be T1, let main memory access time is T2. That means the time cache take to supply the data for any one data to supply is, let's say, T1. Similarly, for main memory, what is the time required? Let it be T2. Okay. Now, can I call this T1 as hit time for cache memory, T2 as miss time of cache memory? It is the hit time of cache, it is the miss time of cache. Yes or no? T2 is what actually? T2 is the time needed to take from main memory. When main memory get a chance to supply? Obviously when it is miss with cache memory. So can I call this time is the miss time, total miss time of cache memory, right? So let us now calculate what is the average memory access time. Let CPU has generated some n requests, out of which some supplied by cache memory, something else supplied by the remaining supplied by main memory. Then what is the average memory access time? So average memory access time is equal to, listen carefully, how many are supplied by cache memory? So number of hits of cache memory, and for every hit, how much time it is taking? Hit time T1 plus how many are miss with cache memory? That means how many supplied by main memory. This is number of hits of cache memory. When cache cannot supply, main memory should supply. So number of hits of main memory, and what is the main memory time? T2 divided by total requests, isn't it? This is how you calculate average. Now, let us apply this denominator for every product. So number of hits of cache divided by total requests is what? Hit ratio of cache. That is what hit ratio formula. Number of hits divided by total requests. So let it be H. So H multiplied by T1 plus number of hits of main memory. What is number of hits of main memory? Number of hits of main memory is equal to number of miss of cache memory. So that is 1 minus H miss ratio, number of hits of main memory divided by total requests. And what is the time required? T2. So that is what? Average access time formula. Okay, H into T1 plus 1 minus H into T2. Now, let us see gate questions, then we move on to the next topic of cache memory. That is, the first question is, more than one word are put in one cache block. Why? And it is a 2001 gate question for 1 mark. You tell me, guys. You please read the options and tell me why. More than one word is put in one cache block for reaching, for getting, for achieving what? That is related to what options here? Okay, Abhinav, you are from electronics background, but you are giving an attempt for GATE CSE. Through this video, will you be able to crack the exam? Abhinav, are you attempting in 2020 or 2021? Will you please answer that? Priya, to reduce miss penalty, okay. Abhinav, when you are writing the exam, this year or next year? 2020 also. I did not get, Abhinav. You are into final year or third year? Okay, Pooja was telling B. What about Uma, Sajid, other people, Sri Chandana? What is the correct answer according to you? Seriously preparing for 2021. Okay, your aim is to crack 2021, but you are giving attempt in 2020 also. Understood, Abhinav. If that is the case, Abhinav, you can crack GATE exam in 2021, not in 2020, and through our videos, definitely our sessions definitely helps you. Along with that, you should also prepare practice on yourself. Okay. Okay, Sri Chandana was telling B, Swagat Pal C, okay, Santu A, right, fine. Guys, in one cache block, if there is only one word, in one cache block, there is only one word. In one cache block, there are 4 words or there are 8 words. More than one word is put in the cache block. 2. To exploit temporal locality. Option A. What temporal locality says? Whenever misoccur for any word, bring that word. So how it is related to block size or number of words? A block may have 1 word or 4 words or 8 words, any number of words. What temporal locality says? Which word CPU requesting, get that word only. So it is nowhere related to block size. So option A wrong. Option B, to exploit the spatial locality. What spatial locality says? If one word is requested, then the words near to that also you copy. Not only that, the words near to that. So near to means till that block. So if block size is 1, only one word is copied. If block size is 4, 4 words will be copied. 8 words will be copied, and so on. This is what spatial locality. So spatial locality tell you to copy all the block. Temporal locality tells you to copy all the to copy only that word. So block size and spatial locality are related to each other. More block size, more words copied. Less block size, less word copied according to spatial locality. Right? So for this time, this is correct. Oh, all the options are A, okay. Of course, you can understand, I think. A, B, C, D. Now, what is the third option? To reduce miss penalty. Miss penalty means it is not more misses. Those who have said C, you might think if more words are copied, less misses occur. Less words copied, more miss occur. You might think in that way and telling this is the answer. But miss penalty is different. Miss penalty means it is actually miss but raised as a hit. It is actually miss but it is raised as a hit. Then CPU will try to access the data. When it go to access the data, then it realize no. Then it realize no, it is not the data that I wanted. So that extra waiting time is called miss penalty. I will tell that when we discuss about mapping techniques, you will understand more about miss penalty. Okay? So definitely that is nowhere related to block size. So what is the answer? To exploit spatial locality or to implement spatial locality, more than one word is put. Otherwise, temporal locality, spatial locality means same. If there is only one word, temporal locality says, oh, bring that word. Spatial locality says, bring the block. Block means how many words? One word only. So temporal locality, spatial locality becomes the same. Right. Raunak Rai, miss penalty is extra time required to bring the data to cache. Yeah, Raunak, when such situation arise, that I will explain when I discuss about mapping techniques. That extra time, okay. Next, 2015 gate question for 1 mark. Students, please read the question. Assume that for a certain processor, a read request takes 50 nanoseconds on miss. So, on miss 50 nanoseconds time. So, what is the time on miss? Miss time 50 nanoseconds, and it takes 5 nanoseconds on hit. So, what is the hit time? 5 nanoseconds. Suppose while running a program, it was observed that 80% of the requests result in hit. So, what is the hit ratio? Out of 100, 80 result in hit. So, that means 0.8 is the hit ratio, right? The average read access time in nanoseconds. If so, what is the read access time? You know the formula? Calculate and tell me, guys, quickly. Students, you have the formula, average memory access time formula. And I have seen some student asking what is the difference between effective memory access time, average memory access time. I have seen that question, but there is time to answer that. Maybe in the tomorrow class, once I explain all the functionality of cache memory, then you will understand what is the meaning of effectiveness. Then if I tell what is the effective memory access time, then you can understand more better. So, I will postpone the answer for that question to tomorrow's class. Okay? 14 nanoseconds, very good, very good. Roy is giving the answer, Priya, Rohit, good. What about app users? Students who are watching this session from app, I am expecting the response from you. What is the answer for this? I have given miss time. Miss time means T2, hit time T1, hit ratio H. So, we have a formula. What is that? Average memory access time is equal to HT1 plus 1 minus H into T2. So, substitute H 0.8 into 5. Okay, let me do it in the next slide. Okay. 0.8 into 5 plus 1 minus 0.8 is 0.2 into 10. Not 10, what is that? 50. So, this is 4 plus 10, 14 nanoseconds, right? Good, good Uma. I appreciate everyone who have given the answer. Let's proceed. (2014) 2014 gate question for 2 marks. Guys, read the question, try to understand the question and try to make a note of what is given and what you are supposed to find. Read the question? Very good. Now, let us extract information from this. Here we have two types of operations, read operation, write operation. For the read operation, when hit occurs, some time is taken. When miss occurs, some other time is taken. What is that? The access time is 1 nanosecond for read operation for hit, 5 nanoseconds for miss. Right? Similarly, 2 nanoseconds for write on hit, 10 on miss. So let's see. 1 nanosecond, 5 nanoseconds, 2 nanoseconds, 10 nanoseconds. So first you should understand this information. Then what is given? Execution of instructions involve 100 instructions. Total how many? 100 instructions. What that involves? 100 instruction fetch operations. 60, so execution of sequence of instructions involves 100 IF operations, not 100 instructions, sorry. 100 IF instruction fetch operations, 60 operand read operations, and 40 write operations. So let's write that. 100 instruction fetch operations, 60 operand read operations, 40 write operations. Right? Then the hit ratio is 0.9. Then what is the average memory access time in executing these instructions? That means it could be read operation or write operation. It could be hit or miss. It could be anything. I want on an average for one operation, what is the time? For one operation to execute these instructions on an average, what is the time? Let's see. The hit ratio is given as 0.9. Now, I will tell you the approach. Just now you have done one problem. Read operation hit time is given, miss time is given, hit ratio is given. So calculate average read access time. What is the average read access time? Calculate that. Similarly, calculate the average write access time. How do you calculate? H is what? 0.9 into T1. Here what is T1? When hit occurs. What is T2? When miss occurs. Hit time is T1, miss time is T2, isn't it? So 0.9 into 1 plus 0.1 into 5. What is this? 0.9 plus 0.5. 1.4 nanoseconds. Similarly, calculate the average write access time. 0.9 into 2 plus 0.1 into 10. What is this? 1.8 plus 1, 2.8 nanoseconds, isn't it? But you don't want average read access time or average write access time. It can be read or it can be write. Average memory access time we want. Now, let's see total how many read operations are there. It is directly given there are 60 operand read. So you can directly understand this is a read operation. Then what is instruction fetch means? Fetch, read or similar terms. Here CPU take operands from memory, here CPU take instruction from memory. So fetch, read both are similar terms, synonyms. So total how many read operations are there? Total 160 read operations are there and 40 write operations are there. For one read operation takes 1.4 nanoseconds of time. Total 160 read operations we have. So 160 read require 160 multiplied by 1.4. Tell me what is this value? Similarly, one write operation takes 2.8 nanoseconds of time. Then 40 write operations takes 40 multiplied by 2.8. So tell me what are these values? It is 16 into 14. 14 6s are 84. So it is 224 nanoseconds. And this would be 4 into 28. 4 8s are 32, 4 2s are, okay. So it is 112 nanoseconds. Right. Good. Roy, thank you. Now, so what is the total time? It can be read or write. What is the total time? 224 plus 112. That is 336 nanoseconds. Total time is 336 nanoseconds. Now, we don't want total time. We want average time. So, what is the average time? How do we calculate the average? Total divided by count. Total time is 336. In this time, total how many operations executed? 160 read, 40 write. So total how many operations? 200 operations. So this is 1.68 nanoseconds. Understood? Good. So let's proceed to next question. Guys, make the session more interactive by responding, please. App users, please respond. Santu, only Uma has said yes. What about others? Santu Kumar and others, please respond. Okay, so this is the next question, which is GATE 2004 question, as well as in ISRO 2016 also the same question has come. Same question, even numericals also not changed. So preparing for GATE gives you advantage of preparation for other competitive exams like this. So you need not to prepare separately for ISRO when you prepare for GATE. So guys, take it serious. Okay? So go through the question, try to understand what we have to find out, what are given. Consider a system with 2 level cache. Now how many levels of cache we have? 2 levels. Till now we have just taken 1 level of cache. There is one cache, one main memory. But now there are two cache, level 1, level 2. Okay, and main memory, that is default. Main memory is mandatory, that will be there, because if miss occur with cache, main memory is the default memory that should supply. Cache has option to escape, but main memory cannot escape. So definitely main memory also will be there. Now, what is the access times of this? L1 is 1, L2 10, L3, main memory 500. So there is level 1, 1 nanosecond, level 2, 10 nanoseconds, level main memory 500 nanoseconds. So let me call this as T1, T2, T3. The hit ratios of level 1 and level 2 are 0.8 and 0.9. So let me call the hit ratio of this is H1, H2. What is H1? 0.8, H2 0.9. Then, what is the average memory access time, ignoring all the other delays? Roy, you are correct. Roy, you are correct. Good, very good. Now guys, when there are only two levels, we have calculated. Now what we should do? We should just extend to one more level, that's it. So how to do that? As we have done for two levels, let's do in the same way. How many supplied by level 1? How do we know? With the hit ratio. So H1, and for every hit, that means hit means what? This memory is supplying. So how much time is needed? T1, or in the probability, or we write with plus, isn't it? Why or? Level 1 need not to supply always, it could be miss also, isn't it? So whatever miss in level 1, how do we know? 1 minus H1. So miss occurred with level 1, then hit may occur in level 2 or miss may occur again in level 2. Yes or no? Two possibilities are there. Level 1 missed it, then level 2 may supply, or level 2 also may miss it, isn't it? Now, level 1 missed it, that we understood for 1 minus H1. Now, level 1 missed it. Now, who will supply? Who will supply? Level 2. So any memory is supplying some data means it is hit or miss, hit for that memory. So now the case is miss with level 1, hit with level 2. So that is H2, and how much time is needed for that? T2. Or what is the other option? Level 1 missed it, level 2 also missed it. So it is 1 minus H1, 1 minus H2. Level 1 missed, level 2 also missed. Then who should supply it? Main memory. There is no other scope for main memory. Whatever missed by its upper levels, definitely main memory. So that is a complete hit for main memory, that is T3. So this is the formula that you should use for calculating it. Okay. Durgesh, sir, how to identify it is simultaneous or hierarchical? Durgesh, it is very simple. When the memories are cache memory, main memory, they can simultaneously contact with CPU, directly contact with CPU. But when the memories are main memory and secondary, that should go in hierarchy. That means secondary memory cannot directly supply to CPU, secondary memory should supply to main memory should supply to CPU. So, in the second case what I said, we will add T1 and T2 Sujai. Even this explanation answer your question also. Level 2 will not go to level 1 Sujai because they are cache. Level 2 can supply or level 1 can supply. So, we are calculating the case when level 2 can supply. Okay. Raja Rampal, it is not 28.8 Raja Rampal, check it again. I think you might have added this T1 plus T2 like that, check it again, this is the formula. So, H is 0.8 multiplied by 1 plus 1 minus H1 is 0.8, H2 is 0.9 into 10 plus 1 minus H is 0.2, 1 minus H2 is 0.1 into 500. So, these are the numericals. Roy, in some sense that is correct, but not always. So, this would be 0.8 plus, okay, this is 0.2, 1 minus, right, 0.18 into 10, 1.8 plus 10. So, this would be 12.6 nanoseconds. Roy, I just said now, I have already said the answer now. As because there are levels, they need not to be simultaneous. As because there are levels, they need not to be strict access. It depends on what memories they are. It is not number of levels. Hierarchy is there everywhere. So, hierarchy doesn't assure strict access. That means from you can't directly supply, you give to me, I will supply. This is called strict access. Always strict access won't take place as because there are levels. Similarly, direct access, cache is directly supplying, main memory can directly supply. Main memory need not to give to cache memory. Cache will take a copy. Main memory don't give to cache memory. So, number of levels or existence of levels does not guarantee this access mode. It depends on what memories they are. Okay. Now, let us try to understand the communication between cache memory and main memory. I already said the cache memory will be divided into blocks. Blocks are further divided into words, isn't it? In the same way, main memory also will be divided. So even main memory also will be divided into blocks. Blocks will be further divided into words. Now these are the words. Okay. In main memory and cache memory, whose size will be big, guys? Generally, definitely main memory size will be big. Like main memory means RAM. Let us say it is a 512 MB RAM. RAM is 512 MB. For 512 MB RAM, cache would be definitely in kilobyte. So let us say it is a 32 kilobyte cache. Okay, or for simple understanding, let me take it is 8 MB cache. Generally, it will not be the case. When you have megabyte RAM, you will have cache in kilobytes. But for simple understanding, I took 8 MB cache. Okay. Now, let the block size is 1 megabyte. Whose block size? Whose block size is 1 megabyte? That question is wrong, because block size of cache will be always equal to block size of main memory. Remember this. Block size of cache will always be, should be equal to block size of main memory. Why? Because CPU is asking some word. Let's say CPU is asking the word X. It is the very first word. So definitely it is not there in the cache. Cache is empty. So hit occur or miss occur? Miss occur. So whenever miss occur for this word X, its locality of reference principle start working. What that says? Temporal locality say bring or copy X. When it copy, whenever cache memory issue miss, main memory will be supplying. So you should understand this. It is not main memory giving to cache, then cache is supplying. No, no, no. Whenever miss occurred with the cache, main memory started supplying to CPU. When main memory is sending the data to CPU, cache anonymously copying the data. So it is not main memory giving to cache. Cache is requesting copy from main memory. You should understand this difference. Okay. So how much it copy? According to temporal locality, it copy only X. But it has another point in the locality of reference. What it says? Not only this word, nearby words also you should copy. That means all blocks should be copied. So how much gets transferred from main memory to cache memory at a time? 1 block. But CPU requests how much at a time? CPU requests 1 word only at a time. So as block is the basic transfer between main memory and cache memory, when this block size is same, it can exactly fit. No need of further arrangement, mapping, adjustment for this size. That's why please remember, block size of cache and block size of main memory will be same. Okay. Now we will try to understand about these two main memory, cache memory communication even more detailed in tomorrow's class. Okay? So, when you understand this, guys, this is the homework question for you. So, please take a snap of this question. This is a connecting question, so I will show two questions for you. This is the first question and there is a connected question also for this. So, please take a snap of this, everybody. Okay, and this is the next question, and this is the next question. Please take a snap of this second question. So, these questions can be answered from the point which I have said just now. How main memory and cache memory communicate, what will be the block size of main memory. From that point only you can answer this question and the connecting question. So, try doing this, guys. Don't copy from any source. You try doing it. You may do, you might not do, no problem. You may get the answer, you may not get the answer, no problem. Don't worry about that. But you try sincerely, don't copy from any source. Try on your own. Okay? We will see how it works more effectively in the tomorrow's class. Okay, guys? Till then, bye. Good night, everyone.